Don't tell people your problems. We live in a world where everyone is quick to share their struggles, quick to broadcast their pain, and quick to hand over their problems to anyone willing to listen. But here's the truth. Most people don't care about your problems, and the rest are glad you have them. That might sound harsh, but it's a fact worth sitting with. When you constantly tell people your problems, you hand away your power. You make your life sound like a list of complaints instead of a testimony of resilience. Problems are not for public display, they're for private growth. They're the weights you lift in silence that make you stronger when the world finally sees you stand tall. Your problems are your responsibility. The first truth you need to face is this: your problems belong to you, and only you. No one else has the obligation to carry them. No one else can solve them the way you can. When we forget this, we end up falling into the trap of expecting others to do the heavy lifting in our lives. We call a friend, unload our frustration, and wait for their response like it's going to magically fix everything. But here's reality. They may listen, they may nod, they may even give some advice. But the second you hang up that call, the problem is still yours. It hasn't moved an inch, and deep down you know that. Responsibility doesn't mean blame. Let's be clear about that. Just because something difficult happened to you doesn't mean you caused it. Life throws curveballs all the time: heartbreaks, financial setbacks, health scares, broken trust. You didn't necessarily choose the storm, but once it's in your life, you're responsible for how you respond to it. That's the part you own. That's where your power lies. When you stop telling people your problems, you force yourself to step up. You stop outsourcing your pain and start confronting it. And that's the shift that changes everything. Because when you take responsibility, you take control. Responsibility means you don't sit in the passenger seat of your life, waiting for someone else to grab the wheel. You climb into the driver's seat, even if you don't know the exact route yet, and you start steering. The temptation to hand off responsibility is strong. Think about it. How often do we want someone else to fix things for us? We want a boss to recognize our struggles at work and cut us a break. We want a partner to swoop in and make life easier. We want society, government, or even luck to hand us a shortcut. But waiting for rescue is wasted time. Because nobody is coming. Nobody has the time, energy, or resources to make your life what it needs to be. That's not their job. It's yours. And here's the part that stings. When you constantly share your problems with people, you're actually dodging responsibility. You're trying to pass the weight around, spread it out, make someone else hold even a fraction of it. But in reality, that doesn't lighten your load. It only keeps you stuck. Because as long as you're talking about the problem, you're not solving it. And solving is the only way forward. When you take full responsibility for your problems, something incredible happens. You gain clarity. You stop blaming. You stop waiting. And you start creating solutions. You realize you can't change what happened, but you can absolutely decide what happens next. That mindset doesn't make the problem disappear, but it transforms how you handle it. Responsibility also builds self-respect. Think about the people you admire. It's not the ones who cry out for pity every time life gets tough. It's the ones who face their storms head on. They may fall, but they rise. They may get knocked down, but they don't beg for someone else to pick them up. They stand up on their own, and that resilience earns respect. When you choose responsibility, you earn that same respect from others, yes, but more importantly, from yourself. And here's the best part. Once you embrace responsibility, you stop feeling powerless. You stop believing life is just happening to you, and you start believing life is happening through you. Even when situations aren't your fault, you recognize that your response is always your choice. That shift is freedom, because while problems might be heavy, they're not chains, they're weights. And weights are what make you stronger when you choose to lift them. So stop handing out your problems like leaflets, hoping someone else will read them and solve them. They're not assignments for other people. They're lessons designed for you. Own them, carry them, solve them. Because the moment you stop telling people your problems and start owning them, you stop being a victim and start being a victor. Protect your energy. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. It's more valuable than money, more valuable than time, because without it, you can't make the most of either. But here's the problem. Most people spend their energy recklessly. They pour it out on things that don't grow them, on people who don't value it, and on conversations that do nothing but repeat pain. And one of the biggest leaks of energy is constantly telling people your problems. Think about it. Every time you go through something difficult, you already spend energy living it. The late night thoughts, the stress in your chest, the racing mind that won't slow down, that's energy being burned. Then, instead of focusing on solving it, you spend more energy retelling the story to someone else. You're doubling the cost. You're paying twice for the same pain. That's like being charged twice at the store for something you didn't even want to buy in the first place. Now, some people think venting is helpful. They say it's letting it out. And yes, sometimes sharing with someone you deeply trust has its place, but only if that conversation moves you toward healing or solutions. Most of the time, it's just rehearsing pain. It's pressing replay on the same negative track until it drains you completely. And here's the danger. The more you rehearse pain, the deeper it carves into your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone with a temporary problem and start seeing yourself as the problem. That's not protection, that's self-destruction. Protecting your energy means becoming intentional about where it goes. Every conversation is an investment. Every thought is an investment. Every complaint is an investment. The question is, what kind of return are you getting? If you spend your energy telling 10 people how hard your situation is, but not 1 minute working on a solution, your return is zero. Worse than zero, it's debt. You leave yourself exhausted, drained, and still stuck in the same place. Let me tell you something important. Your energy is not infinite. We like to think we can pour and pour and pour, but the truth is, when it's gone, it's gone. Burnout, fatigue, resentment, those are the receipts of wasted energy. Protecting your energy means guarding it like treasure. It means refusing to hand it over to every ear that will listen. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your story. When you stop telling people your problems, you reclaim that wasted energy. You hold it in, not to suppress it, but to redirect it. Imagine the difference between venting your frustration for an hour versus using that same hour to brainstorm solutions, plan your next step, or even rest your mind. One leaves you more tired and more stuck. The other recharges you or pushes you forward. Protecting your energy is about choosing the second option consistently. Now, here's where it gets powerful. When you protect your energy, you gain clarity. Because your mind isn't cluttered with the echoes of your own complaints, you stop dragging your problem into every room you walk into. Instead, you walk in with focus. You walk in with calm. You walk in with presence. That shift doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how people see you. They notice your steadiness. They notice your discipline. They notice that you don't crumble under pressure or waste time on endless drama. That's respect earned without you saying a word. Protecting your energy also means protecting your peace. Because when you constantly share your problems, you're inviting opinions. And let's be honest, opinions can drain you faster than the problem itself. Some people will criticize, others will gossip, and some will give advice that confuses you more than it helps. Suddenly, what was one problem turns into 5. Protecting your energy means saying, I don't need all those voices in my head. I'll keep my circle small. I'll keep my struggle quiet, and I'll keep my mind clear. Here's the bottom line. Your energy is the fuel that moves your life forward. Every ounce you waste on repeating problems is an ounce you could have spent creating solutions. Stop spending your energy on complaining. Stop paying double for the same pain. Protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And when you do, you'll have the strength, the focus, and the peace to overcome anything life throws at you. People respect action, not excuses. The world is full of voices. People talk about what they want to do. They talk about what went wrong. They talk about what they could have been if circumstances had been different. But here's the truth that separates leaders from complainers. People don't respect talk, they respect action. And excuses, no matter how polished or convincing, never inspire anyone. Think about the last time you listened to someone complain about their problems. Maybe you nodded along, maybe you sympathized, maybe you even offered advice. But once the conversation was over, did you leave thinking, wow, I respect them so much? Probably not, because constant complaining doesn't create respect. It creates pity at best and irritation at worst. Respect is earned when someone takes a problem, owns it, and does something about it. Here's the thing about excuses. They're easy. It's easy to say, I can't because. It's easy to blame the economy, your past, your boss, your parents, or even just bad luck. Excuses are comfortable because they take the pressure off you. They tell you it's not your fault. But here's the danger. Every time you give an excuse, you hand away your power. You're basically saying, I have no control over my life. And if you live like that long enough, you'll start to believe it. Action is different. Action says, the problem is mine, but so is the solution. Action doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait for ideal conditions. Action moves even when it's small, even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain. And that movement is what people respect. They may not agree with you, they may not even understand you, but they respect the fact that you didn't stay stuck. Look at the people you admire: athletes, leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, even ordinary people who overcame extraordinary challenges. What do they all have in common? Not excuses, not endless stories of why life was unfair. They have action. They stood up, they made decisions, they took risks, they stumbled, but they kept moving. That's why people talk about them with admiration, not pity. And here's the truth. Action doesn't even have to be perfect to earn respect. You don't need the flawless plan. You don't need to know all the steps. You just need to start, because motion itself is powerful. Motion tells the world, I'm not staying here. Excuses keep you frozen. But action creates momentum. And momentum is what carries you from one breakthrough to the next. Now, here's the part most people miss. Action inspires, but excuses spread like poison. When you constantly tell people your problems and back them up with excuses, you're not just draining yourself, you're draining them. You're creating an atmosphere where negativity becomes the norm. But when you choose action, you flip the atmosphere. You show people that problems can be handled, that setbacks can be turned into comebacks. Your life becomes an example instead of a complaint. People don't remember the person who always had an excuse. They remember the person who overcame. They remember the one who kept showing up, even when it was hard. They remember the one who made it happen, not the one who explained why it couldn't. And that's the life you want to live, a life of results, not reasons. Taking action doesn't mean you ignore the struggle. It means you don't let the struggle paralyze you. It means you stop saying, I can't because of my past, and start saying, I will in spite of my past. It means you stop saying, I can't because I don't have the resources, and start saying, I'll figure it out with what I have. Every excuse is a door locked from the inside. Action is the key that opens it. So stop telling people your problems and expecting respect to come from your story. Respect comes from what you do with that story. Show up, move forward, do something even if it's small, because people respect action. They respect resilience. They respect someone who refuses to stay down. Excuses may sound good in the moment, but they don't build anything lasting. Action does, and here's the bottom line. If you want people to see you differently, stop telling them why you can't and start showing them how you can. Let your results be the proof. Let your actions be the voice. Respect doesn't come from excuses, it comes from execution. Privacy is power. Not everything in your life deserves an audience. Not every problem, not every struggle, not every setback needs to be broadcast. There's strength in silence, and there's power in privacy. The moment you realize that, you start to understand that what you don't say is just as important as what you do say. We live in a time where oversharing feels normal. Social media encourages people to post every detail of their lives. People vent online, rant in group chats, and update everyone around them on every bump in the road. But the more you share, the more you expose yourself. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't need to know all your problems. The more people know, the more opportunities they have to judge, criticize, gossip, or even use it against you. Privacy is a shield. It's not about being secretive. It's about being selective. It's about protecting your peace from unnecessary voices. When you keep your problems private, you don't give people the power to twist your story. You don't hand over ammunition to those who don't really care about your growth. Because the hard truth is, not everyone who listens to your struggles wants to see you win. Some are just curious. Some compare your failures to feel better about themselves. And some even take quiet satisfaction in your pain. Why give them that power? Privacy also creates respect. Think about the people you look up to. They're not the ones spilling every detail of their struggles to anyone who will listen. They're the ones who move quietly, who fight their battles behind closed doors, and who let their victories speak louder than their problems ever could. There's a certain strength in being unshakable, in not needing to prove or explain yourself to everyone around you. When you learn to keep your problems private, you also give yourself space to process them clearly. Because here's what happens when you constantly share. Every time you retell your problem, you invite more opinions. And those opinions pile up until you can't even hear your own voice. One person says, do this. Another says, don't do that. Another tells you it'll never work. Suddenly, your problem feels 10 times heavier because you've allowed 10 different perspectives to cloud your judgment. Privacy cuts through that noise. It gives you clarity. It gives you room to think, to feel, to decide. And don't get it twisted. Privacy doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you can't have one or two trusted people to lean on. It means you're intentional about who gets access. It means you're careful about the doors you open. Not everyone deserves to walk into the most vulnerable parts of your life. The fewer people who know, the more peace you'll have. Because privacy is not about hiding weakness, it's about preserving strength. There's also another layer to privacy: momentum. When you tell everyone your struggles, you often feel like you've already done something, even though nothing has changed. It tricks you into feeling like progress has been made, when in reality, all that's happened is you've spread your energy thin. But when you keep things private, you build momentum in silence. You're working, you're growing, you're solving. And then one day, when the victory shows up, people are shocked because they had no idea how much you endured behind the scenes. That surprise is powerful. That's the kind of story people respect. Privacy is also protection from premature judgment. Sometimes you're still figuring things out. Sometimes you don't even know the lesson yet. If you share too soon, people will form opinions about a situation you're still learning from, and those opinions can box you in. But when you stay private, you give yourself the freedom to grow, to fail, to adjust without an audience criticizing every step. Here's the bottom line: not everything is meant to be said. Some victories are meant to be seen, not explained. Some battles are meant to be fought in silence. When you stop telling people your problems, you protect your peace, your clarity, and your power. You walk stronger because you're not weighed down by the noise of a crowd. Privacy is not weakness. Privacy is wisdom. And in a world where everyone is shouting, privacy makes you unshakable. Turn problems into progress. Every problem you face carries a hidden opportunity. On the surface, it may look like nothing more than pain, frustration, or setback. But beneath it lies something greater: growth. The real question is not why me, but what can this teach me? Because problems are not punishment. They are preparation. They are shaping you for the next level of your life. The truth is, nobody grows in comfort. Comfort zones feel good, but they don't stretch you. They don't demand strength, creativity, or resilience. Growth happens in challenge. Growth happens when you're pushed to your limit, when the plan falls apart, when things don't go the way you wanted them to. That's where the progress is, not in the easy moments, but in the hard ones. Here's the mistake most people make. They see a problem as a wall, not a doorway. They run into it, get discouraged, and stop. They say, "This is unfair. This is too much. I can't handle it." And when they stop there, they miss the lesson. But if you shift your perspective, you'll see that every wall has something to teach you. Sometimes it's teaching you patience. Sometimes it's teaching you discipline. Sometimes it's teaching you creativity to find a way around or through. But the lesson is always there, waiting for you to notice. Turning problems into progress means asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this? What strength can I build here? How can this situation make me sharper, tougher, wiser?" Those questions open doors. They take you out of victim mode and put you in growth mode. And growth mode is where progress begins. Think about some of the most resilient people you've ever met. Chances are, they didn't get that strength from easy lives. They got it from storms. They got it from loss, from hardship, from struggles that forced them to dig deeper than they thought they could. And when you look at them, you don't see the problem, you see the progress it created. That can be you. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is to stop labeling problems as setbacks and start labeling them as setups, because often the very thing you thought was breaking you is actually building you. That failure that embarrassed you might be setting you up for a better opportunity. That rejection that hurt so badly might be saving you from the wrong path. That loss that left you empty might be creating space for something greater. Problems are not dead ends, they are detours toward a bigger destination. Now, let's get practical. Turning problems into progress isn't just about mindset, it's about action. It means taking what life throws at you and doing something with it. If you lose a job, instead of repeating the story of how unfair it was, you ask, "What skills can I learn now? What opportunities can I chase that I never would have considered before?" If you face heartbreak, instead of telling everyone how badly you were treated, you ask, "What does this teach me about my worth? How can I grow stronger, healthier, and clearer in my relationships moving forward?" Every single problem contains a seed of progress, but you have to plant it. Here's the beauty of it. Once you start viewing problems this way, they lose their power to defeat you. Instead of knocking you down, they sharpen you. Instead of being the reason you quit, they become the reason you rise. And the more you practice it, the faster you'll turn pain into progress. Soon, you'll stop fearing problems altogether, because you'll know no matter what happens, you'll come out better on the other side. And people will notice. They'll see that while others complain, you adapt. While others stay stuck, you move forward. While others let problems define them, you let problems refine you. That's the difference between someone who tells their problems and someone who transforms them. One drains their energy by repeating the same story. The other builds momentum by writing a new one. So here's the bottom line. Stop telling people your problems and start using them. Let them push you. Let them shape you. Let them prepare you for the greatness you haven't even seen yet. Because problems aren't the end of your story, they're the beginning of your progress. Life will always hand us problems. Some will be small, some will be crushing, and some will make us wonder if we can keep going. But here's the truth. Problems are not meant to be broadcast. They're meant to be conquered. Every time you hand your problems over to others in the form of complaints, you give away a piece of your strength. But when you hold them close, own them, and work through them, you become unshakable. Your responsibility is clear. Your problems are yours to solve. Nobody else can carry them for you, and nobody else should. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful, because responsibility isn't a burden, it's a gift. It means you're in control. It means the pen is in your hands, not in anyone else's. And while you carry that responsibility, you must also protect your energy. Don't waste it telling and retelling stories of pain. Don't rehearse the hurt. Use your energy to create solutions, to build progress, and to fuel the next step forward, because energy is precious and you only have so much of it. Then, remember this: people don't respect excuses, they respect action. The world doesn't remember the person who talked about what went wrong. It remembers the person who did something anyway. Be that person. Let your actions speak louder than your struggles, but even as you act, protect your privacy. Not everyone needs access to your battles. Some fights are meant to be fought in silence and revealed only in victory. Privacy doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It guards your peace and protects your momentum. Finally, never forget that problems are not dead ends, they are lessons. They are opportunities to grow, to stretch, to rise higher than you were before. Turn them into progress. Let them refine you. Let them prepare you for what's ahead. So stop telling people your problems. Show them your strength. Show them your resilience. Show them your results. Because when you overcome in silence, your success will make the loudest noise of all.